words of my mouth, the meditations of all of our hearts together, be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, for you are our rock and our Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
Now, I'm willing to say that I am not the overly romantic type. And so when people talk about love, even the love of God, I get a little cynical. Or better yet, I get a little skeptical sometimes, about the idea of love. And maybe it's possibilities that my radar goes up, depending on who talks about love. Especially when people start talking about loving your neighbor and loving your enemies, especially when someone starts saying, you need to love just because of Jesus, or if you start talking about love and Martin Luther King, I'm like, uh-oh. Like, all right, this person's about to sell me a bridge in Brooklyn for a low, low price. I don't know about this. And I don't think that I'm alone and the only person in the room with my feelings about that, with my feelings in terms of the word love. I think that other folks are a little, sometimes a little pessimistic, but we're also just a little skeptical around how love is thrown around. People love their cars and they love McDonald's, and they also love their wives and they also love their husbands. And those words are radically different things for many people. Part of that is because our society is focused around the immediate and short-term wants, needs, and gains. Our society has shifted from focusing on the greater good to the greatest right now. Our society's solutions are built around the individual and not the group. Our society's solutions are focused on quantity and not quality. And our society's solutions are not solutions at all. We end up having a whole bunch of get-rich-quick schemes, get-it-fixed-quick, Ponzi schemes that never lead to lasting change. Nothing in our society is built to last. And now, in our society, we are the last to build. Because in our society focuses on profits over people. And now in our society, we are now reaping what we have sown. Or what has been sown on society, in our society, on society's behalf. Now I'm talking economics. And the word economics actually comes from Greek, from the house okios. The word house is okios in Greek. And in Ephesians chapter 5, where it's talking about household codes, that's the word being used. Okios. It's economics. How to run the house. The world house. And our society's household codes are based in short-term economics. Slavery, colonization, our wars, they're all about short-term gain. Now slavery, it's pretty obvious. Now, after slavery's over, what you going to do with them people? You bring them over here, now what you going to do with them? You going to send them back? You don't want them to actually be equals in your society? So now you're dealing with the consequences of the short-term gain of, if we get other people to do our work, we can just hold them down for a long time. Even though after a point you have to ask the question, Thomas Jefferson loved the classics. They loved building their society on Roman, Greco-Roman, myth and society, but they don't remember Spartacus. They don't remember the whole thing that the slavery thing didn't work out in Rome either. But there you go. Colonization, same thing. We use up the Europeans, they go to Africa, they go to Asia, they use up the resources, and then they wonder why the folks want to show up and live with them. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, you messed up my house, I'm coming to live with you. Or even our love of war. We can use nuclear weapons. We can build our security around the fence. But then North Korea and Iran can't do it. But if you look at Pakistan, they have the bomb and we ain't touching it. People who gave up their weapons, oh, well, Iraq, we know what happened to Saddam. We know what happened to Gaddafi. But we're going to use this logic, this short-term logic, to rule our lives. Our household codes don't make sense. They aren't logical. They don't even shore up the house itself. And we have forgotten what is the common good. We have forgotten the commonwealth. So what's built to last? Well, in this morning's scripture from John, Jesus in this farewell address is focusing on how and what will sustain this new community. How it should live, its guiding principles, and how it will last. In the text, Jesus is talking to the disciples about this intimate relationship between him and the Father, and how this relationship is also with them. And Jesus is shifting the community's culture from a teacher-student relationship to a friend and companion relationship. What will abide? What will remain? What will last is love. As Jesus speaks of loving one another, he speaks of loving in the sense of loving each other mutually. Every time, if you look at the text, and this is an issue with English, every time you look at the word you, it is used in the plural sense. It is not a personal you. It is a you all as a group. And so Jesus chooses them, and he chooses us, not in a singular sense, but in a communal sense. So the fruit that we're talking about, the fruit that Jesus speaks of, is a fruit that will last, and is a fruit that is built out of love. It has an orientation, a direction, a coordination in love. Where the love is the standard locus of being, is the focus of how we move forward together. Now, this society of Jesus, not the Jesuits, but this society of Jesus, this Christian life, our Christian life, our communal existence begins in love, functions in love, and therefore abides in love. Now, here's the thing. Now, you all remember, let's go back to our society and our love of fads, of our get-quick-rich schemes and our slogans. Does anybody remember WWJD? No? Yeah? Yes? Okay. Yes. And I don't mean we want Jack Daniels. That's I just always yell. We want Jack Daniels. But what I'm talking about is, what would Jesus do?
What would Jesus?
Now, actually, what's funny is that isn't actually a fad. There was actually a book written in 1896, which really made it popular, and it was connected to the social gospel movement, a movement that built hospitals and where the church took on the responsibility of the society because the society wouldn't do it. But it came into our consciousness in the 90s. On bracelets and bumper stickers and t-shirts. Because people like the fad of love. People love their cars. They love their Toyotas. And they love the fad of being a Christian. Yes, the fad of being a Christian. And what I mean is, and it's not a question of who's in, who's out, but it's a question of how you act when you're in. And I'm not talking about the niceness factor. I'm not talking about, as I come from Wisconsin and talk about Minnesota, they have Wisconsin and Minnesota nice, where people are very polite. I'm not talking about politeness. I'm talking about mutual accountability and love for each other, which is a different thing. It is a hard thing. It's the reality of good old-fashioned marriage. I'm stuck with you. I I might not like you, but we in this together. And we're always going to be in this together. In a perfect world. Because divorce happens and there are other things and, yada. You know what I'm saying? However, God doesn't divorce us. That's the key thing we have to realize. God's steadfast love, God's covenant is eternal and unbreakable. And it's not because we don't break it, it's that God doesn't break it. God can't break it in God's being. I'm going to let it sit there. But love is hard. It's hard work. And if you have been in a marriage, you know that being married is hard work. It's something that you have to work on every day. It's something you have to work at because, it's rough.
It's like a full-time job.
Oh, it's more than a full-time job, my friends. It changes how you live completely. Every single piece of your life changes. And that is what we're talking about. And that is what we can trust in. The love that we're talking about bears fruit because it is committed and commanded.
Amen.
The love that bears fruit that we're talking about is a love that binds us together, that is steadfast and true, that is unwavering, a love that is rough and rugged. We are called to hold fast to our commitments and our commandments. We are called to a mutual care, to mold a society that is based in our collective best interest. Because through love, God has invested through the giving of his Son to us. Jesus calls us friends. Jesus chooses us as friends. And Jesus laid down his life for us as a demonstration, as a manifestation of the love that is built to last. As a love that remains in us. A love that abides in us. And a love that lives in us. Amen.